One of the things that we work with quite often when we're working with leaders and individual leaders and with teams of leaders, executive teams in particular, are assessment tools.
Mhm.
And we were really delighted to be introduced to the Be Well, Lead Well Pulse tool that you've developed. The idea that individual leaders can um, learn some new distinctions that will help them thrive and help the organization thrive. So it was the joint, both individual and collective part of that that attracted us. Can you tell us a bit about that tool and how it's making a difference in the work that you're doing in organizations and helping people like us do as well?
Sure, sure. So Be Well, Lead Well Pulse came out of, as you mentioned, 35 years of doing this kind of work, but not having necessarily assessment systems to lean into. The science of human thriving and human well-being and leading well-being has really now caught up. But at 35 years ago, we didn't have all the same insights we have today about how we're hardwired, and this idea that we can really reconnect with our sense of thriving and resilience within us, and become more effective and powerful at work. So we didn't have an assessment system. So about 6-ish years ago, we developed a relationship with the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs, the Positive Organization Center, as part of their business school. And in that partnership, I said to them, we've got all of these insights from leaders we've worked with all over the world about how important it is to integrate these ideas about well-being and thriving into the idea of leadership itself. But we like to build the assessment system that brings those connections, that really connects those dots together. And they helped us do it. We couldn't find it. And honestly, now that I've built a tool, it'd have been much easier to find it and to build it. But it's really been wonderful to have this platform, a framework and an assessment system that brings together 19 different psychometrics linked to thriving and stress resilience, as well as linked to creating a culture of thriving. And I like to think of those psychometrics as also pathways that help people reconnect to how they are and can be fundamentally well. So that's the framework and assessment system. We have been certifying people like you in the assessment system for the last few years. We've got over 200 now Be Well, Lead Well Pulse certified guides. And probably for me personally, given where I am in my own career, in my own life journey, that is probably been of the most gratifying things for me, is to support a whole nother network of people and grow that network of people in bringing this kind of work into situations that I would never have access to. So I'm usually working in the corporate environment with global companies. We have people using the tool in education systems to really shift the conversations for teachers, staffs, and principals at school systems. We have people using it in healthcare. We have people using it in nonprofit sectors. So it's really, and all over the world. So it's exciting for me personally to, there's a real uptake right now on our planet for wanting to shift how we relate to each other, wanting to shift how we relate to ourselves, and wanting to look at how can we create organizations, communities, societies that really prioritize thriving.
Mm.
And because we haven't quite been there up to this point before. There's many things that we've done that's wonderful on our planet, but we haven't quite figured this nut out, and no one has the answer to it. So it's really gratifying to see people use this tool as a tool for awareness and development, to have deeper conversations about what would it mean to make thriving a new standard for how we measure our success, for how we grow, for how we support people. And so ask me any questions you want about the tool. As you can tell, I'm really excited about it.
Well, one of the other things about the tool that excited us was that it really complemented so well the work of some other tools we use, and we're quite an active user of something called the Leadership Circle Profile, and I
Sure.
met you with many colleagues that use that tool. And one of the things we really liked about it was that it actually helped shine some light on some different aspects of leadership, and particularly the individual leaders' own well-being, because so often they're concerned about the bottom line and the results, but connecting their own well-being to that bottom line, whether it's a corporate environment or a public sector environment, seem to be really powerful to us in this tool. So what are you finding about that?
Well, and I find a similar connections. So we've used the Leadership Circle Profile also for many, many years.
Mhm.
Absolutely love the tool, and it's a beautiful framework and a beautiful expression of the competencies of effective leadership and the reactive tendencies that all of us can drop into when we don't show up rested, well, recovered from from loss, from trauma, recovered from the last day that we had that was stressful. So it's a beautiful tool we use as well as a companion to Be Well Lead Well Pulse. What Be Well Lead Well Pulse, I think, adds to it is this larger conversation, just as you said, about thriving and saying, it's not enough. There's some great work by Gallup, by the way, the World Polling Organization, that said, we now are at a place where we can see that you can be fully engaged in your work. But if you're not thriving in life overall, you're going to have higher rates of burnout, stress, and worry. So I think the same when I think about leadership effectiveness. It's not enough to be as effective as you can as a leader without thinking about your life overall, because you as a whole human being have resources that can support you if you cultivate and tap into them, resources that can support you in leading effectively. And those would be things like that we outline in Be Well Lead Well Pulse, like an example, a clear vision and purpose to guide your life and work, not your company's vision, not your team's vision, not your family legacy, your vision of your life and work. You're self-authored. Who do I want to become? What is my ideal self? And if I move forward towards that, how does that then shape not just how I'm leading in the work setting, but how I'm leading my life overall? So vision and purpose is a clear personal resource that can support you. A sense of awe and appreciation. So we know that when we, as a daily practice, can look around and see the beauty and the mystery that is inherent in the design of the world, that's all around us. Sometimes our lives get going so fast that everything becomes flat and two-dimensional. We don't see the third dimension. We don't see the fourth dimension. We don't see the dimensionality of the world around us, nor of the people that we're working with. We reify them, we reify our world, we reify ourselves. So awe and appreciation is another internal resource. You can help people reconnect to that sense of awe. They know what that is. They've experienced awe as a child, usually, in some instance. So all those 19 pathways, I mentioned there were 19, are examples of ways back into yourself, way to that sense of resourcefulness that you already are.
And I love that.
And that's, I think, what adds. I think that's what is an addition to the Leadership Circle Profile. It's why those tools really are working together quite beautifully.